Kia ora, hello, namaste, ni hao. This is Prashant again chiming in, and we are continuing with our Fortinet series of labs and discussions. This video has been created for you to understand the theory and the fundamentals of FortiGate high availability and how to configure it. FortiGate high availability provides a solution for enhanced reliability and increased performance. There will be two exercises in this lab. This is lab 7 in the Fortinet Infrastructure Guide Operating System 6.2 series, and the details of this lab are mentioned between page number 105 till 120 in the Infrastructure Guide. This video will cover the fundamentals of FortiGate high availability and how to configure it. FortiGate high availability provides a solution, as I mentioned, for increased reliability and performance. The video will assist you in better understanding this lab. The virtual machines you will use during the conduct of this lab are Linux, FortiManager, local FortiGate, remote FortiGate, and local Windows. Please remember there are two separate config files is available for this lab. The local FortiGate and remote FortiGate. Be very careful when you are uploading which config file to which FortiGate device. Please remember this lab will have two questions and one upload. If you follow the instructions properly, you will require about 45 minutes to complete this lab. For those who are using the virtual system or the RDPs, it's essential that prior to starting this lab, they would restore the original file to local FortiGate firewall from the folder local Windows VM desktop, resources, initial lab environment configuration, and upload the file local-initial config. The file will reset all firewall conditions and you will not have a problem in the network if you configure the details as per instructions. While doing the lab, the local FortiGate config files are located in the folder resources infrastructure high availability, and that's mentioned in your lab guide. By demonstrating competence in the use of high availability operations mode and primarily the FortiGate elections, you will be able to choose and implement the right HA or high availability operation mode in your network based on the requirements of the organization you work for. You will be able to use the FortiGate device effectively in your network by understanding what the FortiGate clustering protocol or FGCP HA cluster for FortiGate devices actually means. We will explore that a little bit more. You will also explore active HA mode and observe FortiGate high availability behavior. You will also perform an HA failover and use diagnostic commands to observe the election of a new primary in the cluster. You will also configure management ports on each of the FortiGate as you go through this particular lab. Let's have a brief on what is the FortiGate high availability. The idea of high availability is simple. It is used across the board, not just for firewalls, but also for servers, and it is used in a number of different scenarios. Favorite thing could be if you're probably trying to host something on the cloud, you would definitely need some kind of a high availability setup configured for yourself. Now, a high availability links and synchronizes two or more devices. In FortiGate high availability, one FortiGate device acts as the primary appliance, also called the active FortiGate. It synchronizes its configuration to other devices. The other FortiGate are called the secondary or standby devices. A heartbeat link, now please remember this word, heartbeat link, between all the appliances is used to detect unresponsive devices. Now, what is synchronized between devices? Are all FortiGate devices processing traffic? Does the high availability improve or availability, or does it only improve the throughput? The answer varies depending on which kind of a high availability mode you've chosen. There are currently two high availability modes available for FortiGate. They are active and active passive. Now we will examine the difference in the succeeding slides. Now let's first look at the active passive mode. In either of the two high availability operation modes, the configuration of the secondary FortiGate device is synchronized with the configuration of the primary device. Now in active passive mode, the primary FortiGate is the only FortiGate device that actively processes traffic. Secondary FortiGate devices remain in a passive mode, monitoring the status of the primary device. If a problem is detected in the primary FortiGate, one of the secondary devices will take over the primary role. This event is called a high availability failover. I'll repeat that. It's called a high availability failover. The other mode is active, like active passive HA. In active high availability, all FortiGate configurations are synchronized. Also, if a problem is detected in the primary device, one of the secondaries will take over the role of the primary to process the traffic. However, one of the main differences in the active passive mode is that the active mode, all the FortiGates are processing traffic. One of the tasks of a primary FortiGate in active mode is to balance some of the traffic among all the secondary devices. So how do the FortiGate devices in a high availability cluster actually communicate? Now, FortiGate high availability uses something called as a FortiGate Clustering Protocol, or FGCP, for high availability rated communications. FGCP travels between the clustered FortiGate devices over the link that you have designated as the heartbeats. You should create a heartbeat link between two FortiGate devices using a regular RJ45 crossover cable. If you have another device between the two FortiGate devices, such as maybe a switch, you got to ensure that it is dedicated and isolated from the rest of the network. This way, critical FGCP or the clustering protocol traffic does not need to compete with other traffic for bandwidth. So you're making a shunt, and that shunt is actually a priority shunt. Now, NAT mode cluster and transparent mode clusters use different Ethernet type values to discover and verify the status of the other FortiGate device in an operating cluster. FortiGate device in a cluster use telnet sessions. Once again, I repeat, they use telnet sessions over TCP port 23 with Ethernet type OX8893 over the heartbeat link to synchronize the cluster configuration and to connect to the command line interface of another FortiGate in the cluster. When you manually restart or shut down the primary FortiGate, before the primary FortiGate actually shuts down, it becomes necessary that the secondary device in the HA cluster takes over the role of the primary and waits for the traffic to fail over to the new primary before it shuts down or reboots. Now, there is a specific protocol that is in place, and you people will experience that as you go ahead with this particular lab. Now, for a high availability to work properly, there are certain requirements. FortiGate high availability configuration requires a specific setup and devices. First, at least 2, but up to 4 FortiGate devices with the same firmware, hardware model and the virtual machine license, FortiGuard, FortiCloud, and FortiClient licenses, hard drive capacity and partitions, and operating mode, whether transparent or NAT. They have to be the same. What if one of the FortiGate devices has a lower level of licensing than other FortiGate devices in the cluster? Now, all the FortiGate devices in the cluster will revert to that lowest licensing level. So while creating a cluster, we have to be slightly careful. For example, if you have only got one FortiGuard web filtering for one of the FortiGate devices in a cluster, when the cluster is operating, none of the cluster members will support the FortiGuard web filtering. If you remember what happened in the web filtering or the antivirus thing, you will realize why this is the case. Second, at least one link between the FortiGate devices for high availability communication has to exist. HA communication is called the heartbeat communication, as I had mentioned earlier. For redundancy, up to 8 heartbeat interfaces can be created. If one link fails, HA will use the next one. Now, this is defined based on the priority and position in the heartbeat, the heartbeat interface list. Third, the same interface on each FortiGate device has to be connected to the same switch or LAN segment. Note that in the example shown here on the slide, the FortiGate devices are redundant to mitigate failure. but the switches and their links are still a single point of failure. As you see later, you will also have redundancy in the network switches and links. As a best practice, you normally configure the FortiGate interface with static IP addressing when forming an HA cluster. Once HA is formed, you can configure the DHCP or the point-to-point over Ethernet addressing or PPPoE addressing for an interface. If an interface is configured for DHCP or PPPoE, enabling high availability may result in the interface receiving an incorrect address or not being able to connect to the DHCP or the PPP over Ethernet server correctly. So there are certain conditions that you need to be aware of. Please make a note of these, and while you're doing the lab, it will be good to remember them. Right. So now let's just go over the fact of how does a election leader is selected. Now the process of electing the primary FortiGate depends on a HA setting called the HA or the high availability override. This slide shows the process and selection criteria that a cluster uses to elect the primary FortiGate when the high availability override setting is disabled, which is the default behavior. You also should note that the selection process stops at the first matching criteria that successfully selects a primary FortiGate in a cluster. Now, the first thing is that the cluster first compares the number of monitored interfaces whose statuses are up. The FortiGate device with the most available monitored interfaces becomes the primary. So that's the first condition. If that's satisfied, that particular FortiGate becomes the primary. The cluster now second thing is that the cluster compares the high availability uptime of the individual device. If the high availability uptime of a device is at least 5 minutes more than the high availability uptime of the other FortiGate devices, it becomes the primary. The FortiGate number 3 is the FortiGate with the configured highest priority becomes the primary. And fourth, the cluster chooses the primary by comparing their serial numbers. Now when HA override is disabled, the high availability uptime has precedence over the priority setting. If for any reason you need to change which device is the current primary, you can manually force a failover event. When the override setting is disabled, the easiest way of doing this is by running the CLI command diagnode system HA reset -uptime on the primary FortiGate. You should remember that the reset uptime command resets the high availability uptime internally and does not affect the system uptime displayed on the dashboard of a FortiGate. Also, if a monitored interface fails or a FortiGate in a cluster reboots, the the high availability uptime for that FortiGate is reset to 0. You can view the high availability uptime difference between the cluster members in the dashboard. The device with 0 in the uptime column indicates that the device is with the lowest uptime. In this example, if you see on the bottom left, the device ending with serial number 92 has an HA uptime of 7814 by 10 seconds greater than the other device in the HA cluster. The reset CNT column indicates the number of times the HA uptime has been reset for that particular device. In this case, it is 1. You can alter the order of the selection criteria that cluster consider when electing the primary FortiGate. Now, if the HA override setting is enabled, priority is considered before the HA uptime. The advantage of this method is that you can specify which device is the preferred primary every time, as long as it is up and running, by configuring it with the highest HA priority value. The disadvantage is that a failover event is triggered not only when the primary fails, but also when the primary is available again. Now, when a primary becomes available again, it takes back its primary role from the secondary. FortiGate that temporarily replaced it. Now, remember that the selection process stops at the first matching criteria, as I had mentioned in the previous slide. This criteria should be such that it selects the primary FortiGate in a cluster at the first available option. When override is enabled, the easiest way of triggering a failover is to change the HA priorities or the high availability priorities. For example, you can either increase the priority in one of the secondaries or decrease the priorities in the primary. The override setting and device priority values are not synchronized to all cluster members. you must enable override and adjust device priority manually and separately for cluster members. Now, I think we've just gone over the basics of what high availability is and how the election takes place. Let's quickly have a quick knowledge check. So the first question, to form a high availability cluster, all FortiGate devices that have been included in the cluster must have which of the following? The same FortiGate hostname, B, the same firmware. Question 2, what is the default criteria, override disabled, for setting the HA primary devices in a HA cluster? They are connected monitored post, high availability uptime, priority followed by the serial number. So option 1, 2, 3, 4, or they are priority, high availability uptime, connected monitored port, or serial number. So let's have your answers coming up on the chat and we'll wait here for a while. Now, having finished what high availability operation modes are, now let's dig a little deeper into what the high availability cluster synchronization actually means. Now, the reason why you need to understand cluster synchronization is that you should be able to identify the primary and secondary devices task in a high availability cluster. Then you should be able to identify what is synchronized between cluster members. So if there are multiple members in the same cluster, what exactly is being synchronized, and then configure a session for synchronization and for seamless failover, which is part of your lab. So we've been talking about what a primary FortiGate is. So what are the tasks of a primary FortiGate? Primarily, it monitors the cluster by sending hello signals and listening for replies to identify if the FortiGate devices are alive and available. It also synchronizes its routing tables, the DHCP information, and part of its configuration with other devices. Optionally, you can configure the primary FortiGate to synchronize some of the traffic session information to all the secondary devices. Now, this allows a faster, seamless failover for some sessions. Some applications will not need to re-establish their sessions after a failure of a primary FortiGate. You will learn which session information will be synchronized later. However, for active mode only, a primary FortiGate also distributes specific traffic among all the available devices in the cluster. Now, what are the secondary FortiGate tasks? If the mode is active, the secondaries simply wait, receiving synchronization information but not actually processing any traffic. If the primary FortiGate fails, the secondaries will elect a new primary. Please remember, the secondaries will first elect a new primary and then the new primary is going to be created. We've learned about what the election protocol is. Now, in active mode, the secondaries don't wait passively. They process all the traffic assigned to them by the primary device. A word about the heartbeat interface. You don't need to configure the heartbeat interfaces. FortiGate clustering protocol automatically negotiates the heartbeat IP addresses based on each device's serial number. The IP address 169.254.0.1 is assigned to the device with the highest serial number. The IP address 169.254.0.2 is assigned to the device with the second highest serial number, and so on. The IP address assignment does not change when a failover happens. Regardless of the device role at any time, primary or secondary, its heartbeat virtual IP address remains the same. A change in the heartbeat's IP address might happen when a FortiGate device joins or leaves the cluster. In those cases, the cluster renegotiates the heartbeat IP address assignment, this time taking into account the serial number of any new device, or removing the serial number of any device that left the cluster. The high availability cluster uses these virtual IPs to distinguish the cluster members and update configuration changes to the cluster members. Now, there are a few items that need to be considered when connecting heartbeat interfaces and configuring interface monitoring. Now, the first point is that heartbeat port contains sensitive information about cluster configuration and require a fair amount of bandwidth to make sure that cluster configurations are in synchronized state at all times. One must have at least one port on the heartbeat traffic, preferably two. As a best practice, configure an alias for the heartbeat interfaces. It helps to identify what these interfaces are being used for in a high availability cluster. Also remember that heartbeat communication can be enabled for physical interfaces, but not for VLAN sub-interfaces, IPsec VPN interfaces, redundant interfaces, 803.3 AD aggregate interfaces, or FortiGate switch ports. You should configure interface monitoring only for those ports which failure should trigger a device failover. For example, high priority traffic ports. You should not configure port monitoring for dedicated heartbeat ports. As a best practice, wait until a cluster is up and running and all interfaces are connected before enabling the interface monitoring. A monitored interface can easily become disconnected during initial setup and cause failovers to occur before the cluster is fully configured and tested. Now, to prepare for a failover, HA cluster keeps its configuration and synchronization. We can explore that. The FortiGate HA uses a combination of both incremental and complete synchronization. When a new FortiGate is added to the cluster, the primary FortiGate compares its configuration checksum with the new secondary FortiGate configuration checksum. If the checksum don't match, the primary FortiGate uploads its complete configuration to the secondary FortiGate, and then a new secondary is added to the cluster. After the initial synchronization is complete, the primary will send any further configuration changes made by an administrator to all the secondaries. For example, if you create a firewall address object, the primary doesn't resend its complete configuration. It just sends a new object. That is what is called as an incremental synchronization. Now, high availability propagates more than just configuration data. Some runtime data such as DHCP leases, lease times, and routing tables are also synchronized. By default, the cluster checks every 60 seconds to ensure that all devices are synchronized. If any secondary is out of sync, the checksum of the secondary device is then checked again every 15 seconds. If checksum doesn't match for 5 consecutive checks, a complete resynchronization is done. Now, what's not synchronized? Now, not all configurations can be synchronized. It'll just make it too slow and too much of traffic will be flowing there. There are a few things that are not, such as the system interface setting of the high availability reserve management interface and the high availability default route for the reserve management interface, not synchronized. In-band HA management interfaces are not synchronized. The high availability overrides, not synchronized. High availability device priority, the virtual cluster priority, the FortiGate host name is not synchronized. The high availability priority setting for a ping server or a dead gateway detection configuration is not synchronized. Licenses and caches are also not synchronized. The primary FortiGate synchronizes all other configuration settings, including other configurations related to the HA settings. Now a word about what is session synchronization. Session synchronization enables seamless failovers for some traffic. The information of some sessions is synchronized so that when the primary fails, the new primary can take over those sessions where they were left and keep them open. The traffic might be interrupted for a few seconds, but the application or network application doesn't really need to reconnect the sessions again. Once session synchronization is enabled, the device synchronizes TCP and IPsec VPN sessions that comply with one requirement. That is, they are not handled by a proxy-based security profile. However, sessions using flow-based security profiles are supported, but failed over sessions are no longer inspected by the security profile functions. Please remember that if both flow-based and proxy-based security profile features are applied to a TCP session, that session will not resume after a failover. You can optionally enable the synchronization of UDP and ICMP sessions. Although both protocols are sessionless, entries are created in the FortiGate session table for each UDP and ICMP traffic flow. Usually this synchronization is not required because most of the network applications based on UDP and ICMP are able to keep the communication even when this session information is lost. Now, some of you are from a software engineering stream, and if you or web development stream, and if you are trying to create maybe a game or an app, this particular piece of information will be very, very critical for you if you are sitting behind a FortiGate firewall. You can also enable synchronization of multicast sessions. You would know what a multicast session is, and it's important for you to remember this point. The multicast time to live, or the TTL timer, controls how long to keep the synchronized multicast routes on the secondary devices in the high availability cluster. So they are present on the secondary device when it becomes the new primary device after a failover. The synchronization sessions of SSL VPNs session is not supported in FortiGate. Now, having seen all the details of this of how high availability works, let's look at a quick knowledge check. Now, a quick knowledge check on the previous slides. Question 1. What information is synchronized between two FortiGate devices that belong to the same high availability cluster? A. Firewall policies and objects. B. FortiGate hostname. Question 2. Which one of the following session types can be synchronized on a high availability cluster? A SSL VPN session or a IPsec VPN session? You can get your answers and push them on the notes on the chat, and we'll get a feedback. Thank you.